Alright folks, welcome back to the garage. As you can see, I'm sitting in my throne of parts that I just acquired over the last week or so. I've got a whole mess of stuff. Today, what I need to do is dig through, I think it's actually, I have no idea what box it's in. But I got a wiring harness, and in order to get the interior buttoned up, gotta have the wiring harness in order to hook everything up in the engine, which is sitting over there on a stand and not even assembled yet. I need to have wiring ready to go in the engine bay. In order to do anything, really, need to have the wiring installed. So I got a painless kit. I'll show you the number when I dig it out of one of these boxes, but I got the 6566 Mustang specific kit. It was expensive. It was about 3 times the cost of a generic kit. But the thought process there was, generally speaking, the wiring is to length or nearly to length. It has the correct clips and adapters and plugs and all of that stuff that I need. I don't have to retrofit it off my old harness. This stuff is 50, 60 years old. What does that math work out to? 60-year-old, 55, 57, 57 years old. You know, it's all old and brittle, and who knows what has happened to it over the subsequent decades. So I figured new, right? Let's go with new with all the connectors and whatnot. So I got to start digging through some of this stuff and trying to get a little organized in the garage. This place is a nightmare, but I tend to get into go mode and focused on working as opposed to cleaning. It happens, but let's find that, and then I'll drag the car over, and I'm gonna lay everything out on the floor so we can see what we're looking at with the wiring harness. So without further ado, let's start digging. All right, folks, found it. Cool. Like I said, I went with the painless, and the part number right here is, I'm gonna bring this closer for you so you can see, is the 20120. It's a 22 circuit direct fit 65 and 66 Mustang. So let's go ahead, and I haven't opened it yet. Before you begin, thank you for purchasing. Read the owner's manual. Don't screw the pooch. All right, done. And then use the shopping guide. Make sure you're spending more money with painless. Cool. So let's see what we got here. We have a whole mess of connectors. Hopefully they're not El Cheapo, because those are always a nightmare to work with. Classic braid. Oh, hey, this is the fancy painless version of what I bought. Honestly, it is much nicer, right? So this one's split. This one is, they're both split, right? So you can just feed it up and over. The quality does seem much nicer, but I'm sure it is far more expensive. Heater tail, here, heater switch pigtail. So for the heater, I did go with Old Air Products, right? Yeah, Old Air Products heating and air conditioning unit. So hopefully that clips right in. It should. What do we have here? Wiper switch pigtail. Very nice. Dielectric grease. Okay. Gauge cluster harness. I mean, this is why I bought this kit. I mean, realistic, not just the gauge cluster harness, but it has the correct plugs. It has, you know, the light bulb, you know, for the gauges. The plugs already wired in. They're labeled. Hopefully you can't go wrong. What else we got here? This is my fuse block and grommets, and that is, oh, what the hell is that called? Is that a fusible link? I don't remember. But anyway, and it also comes with lights. Hey, look at that. I will be putting in LEDs in most likely, but I don't know. These came with it, and they're free, and they function. So this is, what do we have here? Headlight section B. I'm assuming this is the harness for under the engine bay. What do we have here? Gauge 66 gauge cluster harness. Cool. Oh man, this right here is the main wiring harness. You see, you have the flasher relay or flasher. When you hear it ticking in your car, that's actually this thing making a connection and breaking a connection. And then we have fuse block, another flasher thing right there. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this all out on the floor just to get a good idea, because doing it on the hood of the car, probably not the best place. So let me move over there. So I got everything laid out on the floor over there, but what I wanted to show you first was, I think how good these instructions are. I say I think because obviously I haven't started installing anything just yet, but seem very, very comprehensive, right? Table of instructions, cool. Tools needed, right? All this is pretty straightforward, but then what I really like is, it's a little shadowy in here, but it shows you, hey, here's where you want to mount your fuse block rather. You know, here's what the positioning looks like, and this picture in the actual car. You know, here's what the pass-through and the grommets actually look like. You know, then it gets into here, right? This is good for a dummy like me. Color-coded, laid out in a nice little map, nice and organized. Really, really helpful, because kind of like not being a body guy, I'm also not a wiring guru, but you know, engine wiring, all this stuff, it's awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm not actually going to be using a voltage regulator because I got a 3G alternator, so effectively I will just be ignoring that bit right there, and this whole page. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's not exceptionally difficult. So let's show you what we got over on the floor here. This is my wiring harness. So you see down here, this is everything that goes with the tail section. That orange and yellow right there is just accessories. So if I wanted to add other things, I have the ability to do so. Right, then you got your fuse block. Interior wiring harness going over to the right hand side, the jam and glove box lamp and all that stuff. You got the instrument harness that goes to the engine, and then that's all up on the front for headlights, horns, turn signals, etc. Got a fancy little sticker, which is nice, and then also they printed out some Avery labels with some info for marking stuff, which is nice, right? You can write down, hey, what fuse number it is, so you can keep yourself organized. But anyway, that's that all laid out. Next up is to drag that thing over this way, because everything runs through the left side of the car up and over to the back. So go ahead and get the hood cleaned off and get that shifted over and get you set up. This right here is the fuse block mounting plate. Fuse block mounting plate. There we go. I can talk. And where it goes is, let's see if I can get this figured out for you. Sorry about all the clanging and banging and making noise, but it goes up just kind of here somewhere, right? So I'll figure out where makes the most sense, where it's out of the way, and get this screwed in. They provide self-tapping screws, provide everything. So let me get you mounted up and let's get this thing running. I hate wiring. All right, so I've spent way too much time screwing around to get like 1.5 feet of that braided cover wire loom stuff on there. I ended up having to de-pin these and slide that over, because ultimately it goes up through, I don't know if y'all can see that, up through the firewall, through a grommet. So I am not going to, today anyway, I'm not going to use that wire loom. I'm gonna toss it up on the shelf somewhere and use it for something else. And I'm going to get the split one, because I need to run all this wire and fishing it up and over, right? There's zip ties on here, keeping everything nice and organized, which is awesome. It's really, really fantastic. But it's a nightmare to slide that up and over, and it doesn't really fit. And if you have, you know, an example of right here, right? You have a whole run of wires and then a couple that come off midstream. Total nightmare to do that when it's a single section like that is. So I'm gonna get the split stuff. It'll be here tomorrow. It'll be fine. So yeah, I just got up and underneath there. I don't know if y'all can see it or not, but you know what, probably up here it's easier. So got the fuse block in, fine, I guess. And what I'm going to do now is take this giant section of wiring, run it up through the firewall up yonder, and put a grommet over it and get the plate mounted and see what's next on the agenda. All right, folks, sorry if there's background noise. My neighbor's bush hogging some stuff over there. So I have engine harness, and then that is all the headlights and stuff that comes up, horns, turn signals, etc. It'll be run up here. I got those run through the firewall. It's pretty loose right now because I might need to move it in and out and adjust slightly. So right now I'm still just doing wire routing. And on that note, this coil right here is everything that goes to the back of the car. And where it gets routed is into the A-pillar, down through here, in these little clips, through that little hole right there, and then up and over the wheel arch, right around here, past my custom prop rod, and then it comes out right up there. And then you run it to all the appropriate stuff back here. So that's what I will be doing now. I will be wrapping that one because there are no actual terminals on the end, so it'll be nice and easy, just slide the wrap over it. But that's what's next. Some wiring routed. So you might be able to see right up in here with my hand in the way. This wiring harness coming off of the block up there. There'll be a kick panel here that's gonna hide some of this. So went right in here, down here, following the factory routing, looking good. Then right back through there, connects in those little clips right there, and then up and over the wheel well. You will see there's this cable right here, because there are little courtesy lights in the side. Oh, actually right there, that round bit right there in the trim. And then this one right here runs through the back of the trunk and over to the passenger side. I haven't wired any of this stuff up just yet because I'm missing, looks like I'm missing the plug right there. I don't know, I gotta figure out what's up with that. But any hooser, that is the first harness run, not necessarily hooked up. But next up is, I have no idea what. Maybe gauges, maybe not gauges. Maybe I'll do gauges towards the end because it's nice having this access in here. But heck, I don't know. We'll see what the instructions say. Another really cool thing about the painless kit, so it gives you wiring instructions for your 65 cluster. I have a 66 cluster. Actually, I have both, but I'll be using the 66 because I like the center speedo. Tells you exactly what you need to do, where everything goes, matches up with what I got to do here. That's just nice, right? That's attention to detail. It all adds up. But anyways, time lapse. Alright folks, it is the next day because my wife came home and I was done with wiring. So, can y'all see that? Is that visible? Here, let me shift you in a little bit. There we go. Cool. So, you can probably see left tail lamp. This is the left tail lamp. it just has a pigtail, right? No connectors, no anything. So luckily I had my OEM harness and came with the connector that just slots right onto the backside of this guy. I don't have a battery, I don't have a brake pedal, let alone a brake switch. I don't have anything to actually test this. So what you can do is take the pigtail, install it like so. It just slots right over the back. And then you take a 9-volt battery, and it won't be as bright as if it were, you know, being run by 12 volts, but a good way to test to make sure that the wiring is good. I did check it with an ohm meter, but this is another way to test not only the wiring, but also, you know, continuity and everything in the tail light. So you literally just touch 2 wires, boom, we have tail lights. Cool. I tested the other side as well, so now that I'm cool, now I know that that works, we are good to go. I'll get this wired in on both sides, and then for the left reverse lamp and the right, and the license plate light actually, I'm just going to drop those down because I don't actually have the lamps and the connectors and all that stuff. So I'll just get them kind of close, probably tie them back until I get the actual reverse lights. But anyway, let's go get those wired up. All right, folks, something else that I forgot to show. So obviously I just showed you how to test, make sure everything is functioning. Another thing you want to do, especially in, you know, cars like this Mustang where there's just a single bulb, so the stoplight and the tail light are integrated, right? So you have 2 wires here that go into the back. One is a high, which is bright, and then one is a low, which is just your running lights or your tail lights. So what I did is I took my battery, I connected with a lead to a good ground, and then what I'm going to do here is connect, well, I don't have to connect anything. I was going to connect another lead to the positive, but anyway, so you have a good ground on the negative, and if you focus down here, you touch one light, can you see that? It turns on, right? That's your typical running light. But then if you touch it to the other one, let's take a look here. It's brighter. I don't know if you can tell that. So bright, dim, dim, bright. So when you're wiring it up, you need to make sure that the correct wire is connected to the correct wire. You don't want your brake lights on all the time. Obviously, that would defeat the purpose of them being brake lights. So for my purposes, because these were painted over, so I don't know what color they are, it's kind of hard to tell. The one that's further away is my brake light. The one that is nearer is my tail light. So we'll go ahead and get those wired up properly and do the same on the passenger side. There's a whole mess of work that I did under the engine bay. I didn't film it. Wiring doesn't seem to be the sexiest thing and most entertaining thing in the world. But what you see right here, this is everything that goes up to the front. And as you can see, I installed my horns, right? So they bolt in there. There's a little tab right there, keeps them locked in place. There's one on the driver's side, one on the passenger side. Underneath here, I could see that actually right there, is the that wiring harness. Comes over here. This is all of the alternator stuff. And then right here is the turn signal and running light, everything down there. But as you can see, I don't have any. So they're just kind of hanging out right now. And then that bundle of wires this is everything that goes onto the transmission, down to the back end there. And then this is coils and battery stuff, and I think that the starter relay, all that stuff is in there. So it's all wrapped up. It's organized, right? As you might be able to see here, I ran a main trunk, which is right there, and split things off, and then use my fancy felt wire loom tape to kind of branch it off and keep it organized and looking nice and neat. So hopefully it'll look nice once it's all done. So I'm intentionally leaving it a bit loose right now, because I don't know exactly where it needs to go. The only things I've hard mounted are the grounds right here. There's one there and one on that side right there. And then obviously this side zip tied up underneath here. So let me show you what I've done on the interior. All right, so here's the wiring. Most of it is good, and by good I mean completed. So what you see, this main chunk here is, again, kind of the main wiring harness. You have the connector here that connects to my gauge cluster, which has a little connector right there, so that just plugs into itself. I still need to wrap this up so it looks nicer, but that's just me being pedantic. I got my wipers switched in, or wired in. My lights are in, but I need to actually get a new light switch. I have one on order, but that's easy enough to swap out. Ignition is wired up. You can probably see here, this yellow wire here, this is for my cigarette lighter. I do not have a cigarette lighter, so I need to order one of those. This is for my radio. It's the constant and the switched power. And then down underneath here, this is all the stuff that goes to the passenger side. So this is for blower motor and switch power, all that stuff. And then this right here is for the AC fan, I guess. So that's going over there. That's why that's loosey-goosey. Got a couple accessory things here that I'm just leaving here until I get everything buttoned up, figure out what I want to do with those. This right here is my left door jamb switch, which goes right there, which I do not have, so that's why that's loosey-goosey. This right here is an extra accessory circuit. I think it's actually 2 circuits, so I'll probably just leave that right around there. This is for my brake switch. I got my high beam switch right there. And everything is done. So next up, what I need to do is take these guys right here, connect them to the back right here. This is for my amp meter, and get these gauges installed. It's starting to look like a real Mustang. All right, so gauges installed, wired in. I mean, they're super easy to install. It was just that one connector and a couple of screws. I'm keeping the OEM gauges. I really like how they look. I'm not a fan of most aftermarket gauges. The ones that I like are the Dakota Digital. I think it's the RTX. Basically, it's a replica of the OEM gauges. But I'm going to keep these. I like how they look. I will, at some point, we'll be putting up here a 66 GT350R style tack, because that's muy importante. But anyway, appreciate y'all coming along. Like, comment, subscribe. That is the majority of the wiring done. Pretty much all I can do right now until I get some, my AC stuff installed, get the engine in, and I can start hooking that stuff up. But anyway, appreciate y'all coming along again, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.